Hey guys, welcome back to NY Sports MC. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel as this is only the first installment of a new segment that we're doing here on this channel where we're going to go through some of the position groups and rank the AFC East from least to first. And today, based upon the chat, so if you guys don't know, I do a live stream every Sunday night starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So please come by, show your support and show your love at the live sessions where we really get to chat and interact with each other. So in that live stream this past Sunday, the chat decided that we should start with probably the most difficult and the most important group, the offensive line. So we're going to start out at number 4. And before I get into that, though, I do want to preface this. This is my rankings as of today. Obviously, anything can happen. Injuries can hit these lines. Some of these players can really step up. There's quite a few rookies in this picture, too. So these line rankings can change throughout the season, but this is where I think they head entering entering training camp and entering the regular season. At number 4, I have the Miami Dolphins. This offensive line has a potential to be disastrous in the beginning. There's just a lot of new faces and a lot of young players. And some players who haven't really shown much in the NFL, the ones that have played. So at left, and all these projections, because obviously there's still going to be training camp battles. Who knows who's going to win these spots. So all these projections are ESPN actually has a depth chart out already. So I just use that. I don't know enough about offensive linemen or about the depth on some of these other teams in the division to know if this is how they're going to end up cracking out. But I went with that because I wanted something that would give me a depth chart right now. Obviously, the teams' websites don't have depth charts out. So, again, if any Dolphins, Bills, or Pats fans check this out and you're like, hey, that guy's not going to start, I didn't pick who was starting. I used ESPN for this. So, left tackle for the Miami Dolphins, Austin Jackson. Obviously, rookie that they selected in the first round. I was not that high on Jackson. I think they should have probably used some of their resources to trade up and try to get one of the top 4 offensive linemen. They had a lot of picks. They had a lot of ammunition to do so. So maybe there was, obviously if you're trying to buy, somebody's got to be willing to sell. So who knows? Maybe nobody really wanted to trade out of those picks either. But I think Austin Jackson can have a fine career. I think he'll be an average tackle in the league. I think he could struggle a little bit out of the gate. Left guard, and I do have pro football focus numbers for some of these people, but obviously I'm not going to use their college pro football. We're just going to do it if they're college, they're rookies, no stats on them. So Eric Flowers is projected to start at left guard for the Miami Dolphins. He was obviously the first round bust of the New York Giants. Originally drafted as a tackle, did not work out there well. Really lacked the bend and the mobility to play that tackle position. Played guard last year for, I believe it was the Redskins. Had a decent year. Put up a 64.2 Pro Football Focus grade. Gave up 5 penalties and 2 sacks throughout the year. Then you move over to center, Ted Karras. I believe he played for the Patriots last year with David Andrews being out last year with blood clots. His Pro Football Focus grade was 64.5. He gave up 3 penalties and 2 sacks. Over at right guard, you had Shaq Calhoun. He had a 44.2 Pro Football Focus grade, 2 penalties and 2 sacks. I don't think he played the whole year. I think he only had about 400 or 500 snaps. So not a full sample size from him. He's also a young individual that was drafted in, I believe, the 2nd or 3rd round. So these guys can continue to develop. They can improve. But then they have projected at right tackle, a guy that I really liked that they drafted in the 2nd round, Robert Hunt. I think he has the ability to be very, very good in this league. I saw a lot of pundits that were saying that he was probably going to end up bumping to the inside at the next level, but the Dolphins, at least according to ESPN, have him projected as a right tackle, at least initially. I think that's fine. He played tackle in college. At least see what he's got there. Tackle is more of a premium position, so you might as well try to put that top pick there, and then you could always just bump him on in if you have to. So I think with this line, a few younger guys who have been in the league that have not proven much yet, and then 2 rookies at the tackle spots, I think that's where they're really going to struggle. It is an adjustment to the NFL level, and now you're going to go in with potentially 2 rookie tackles. Fitzmagic's going to be running for his life, and or Tua. If I was the Dolphins, I would try not to play Tua at all if this offensive line is not performing, because with his injury history, you don't want to put him behind an offensive line like that. So at number 3, this was a close one for me, and I'm being realistic, guys. I want this to be as accurate as I can. No homerism here. I have the New York Jets. Now, this is not saying that I don't think that they can leapfrog the Bills, because when I was looking at these numbers, you heard a lot about how the Bills improved their offensive line drastically last year, and they did. And the numbers still left a little bit to be desired. So I don't think we're very far off from the Bills' offensive line. The reason I gave the Bills the edge before I go into the numbers is their full 5 is coming back. So they have that cohesion, especially with everything with coronavirus and the fact that there could be limited playing time together. I think the Jets' offensive line is going to take a little bit longer to gel, because not a single one of them has played next to the other guy before. So that's going to take some time. I would say by the end of the year, I can see us at least bump it up to the number 2 offensive line if all goes well. But we have projected Mekhi Becton at left tackle. I think he's going to develop into a stud. But what I want Jet fans to be realistic is I think he can be a very good run blocker right out of the gate. I think we have to hope that he's an average pass blocker in his first year. He's still developing. They did not pass as much as we probably will over there at Louisville. So got some adjustment, and obviously the adjustment to the NFL game. DeBrickashaw didn't have the greatest year his first year either. So expect a little bit of a learning curve. Don't expect him to come in here and be a Pro Bowler right away. It's going to be a process, and he's going to develop, and he's going to be an outstanding left tackle for us moving forward. Then at left guard, you have who I hope is not the starting left guard for us, and Alex Lewis. Alex Lewis played a little more than half the season. He had a Pro Football Focus grade of 56.1. 6 penalties and 2 sacks. So he does commit a lot of penalties, and that's something that bothers me. I just don't think he's good enough, and he gets caught holding quite a bit. I really want him to be our backup guard. I would love maybe Cam Clark to start at guard, or if we keep Winters, I'd rather even have Winters start. I know a lot of people don't like him. I think it's more that he always plays hurt, and when he plays hurt, he is really bad. So when he's healthy, which is not very often, he does play just as good as Lewis. I'll put it that way. I don't think he would commit as many penalties. But that's a position that we really need to improve. And like I said, I hope Clark wins that position right out the gate. Center, we got Connor McGovern, who is the most proven offensive lineman we have. Pro Football Focus grade of 72, which was rated the highest center in the AFC East. No penalties, 1 sack last year. And that was a theme for Joe Douglas. Low penalties, low sacks. Do your job. Right guard, Greg Van Roten, 65.6 Pro Football Focus grade. 2 penalties, 1 sack. And now at right tackle, you got George Fant, who his Pro Football Focus take with a grain of salt. He was playing tight end a lot in the jumbo packages as the sixth lineman. So it's going to be hit or miss with him. I think that he has a chance to be pretty good. His Pro Football Focus grade was 62.2. He had 1 penalty. He gave up 2 sacks. Some of his film against some of his top edge rushers was pretty impressive. I think he has developmental traits. We'll have to see how he does as a starter. So whenever you go from being a part-time player, either whether it be in the sub packages as a 6th tackle or even just a partial player and filling in for injuries, you just have to see how they can hold up for a whole season if some of their tendencies or some of their deficiencies can get exposed over a longer season. So he's more of a question mark than what his grade would show. So now you move up to number 2. I got the Buffalo Bills. Left tackle, Deion Dawkins, 73.3 Pro Football Focus grade. 11 penalties and 4 sacks. So a lot of penalties. A few more sacks than you probably want from your starting left tackle. But he did have a very good Pro Football Focus grade. And Deion Dawkins is, if he gets those penalties down, he's a very solid left tackle for the Bills. Left guard, you got Quentin Spain, 55.4 Pro Football Focus grade, 4 penalties, no sacks. Then you got center Mitch Morris, 66.4 Pro Football Focus grade, 9 penalties and 1 sack. John Feliciano, 64.1 Pro Football Focus grade, 5 penalties, 4 sacks. And then Cody Ford, the weakest link in their offensive line, 52.4 Pro Football Focus, 8 penalties and 7 sacks. So with the Bills line, they did improve, but they're still giving up a little bit of sacks. That could be a young quarterback holding the ball a little longer than he should, and then scrambling around quite a bit. But the concerning thing for them is the penalties. I mean, you look throughout the board, it's 11, 4, 9, 5, 8. They got to clean that up. And that's why I can see us kind of overtaking them. The Pro Football Focus grades are not that much different when you're looking at players that actually played last year. Because obviously Becton, I didn't have a Pro Football Focus grade for him because I'm not using college. So I think we match up pretty nicely with the Bills' offensive line. We'll just have to wait and see if the unit can come together as a cohesive unit. And then number 1, you got to go with the New England Patriots, at least for the time being. They have a very solid offensive line. They get an Isaiah Wynn back. He missed a good chunk of the year last year. Pro Football Focus grade, he played about half the year, 69.9%. He had 3 penalties and 2 sacks. Joe Thuney, who we all were hoping was going to be the Jets starting left guard this year, but got franchise tagged, 77.4 Pro Football Focus grade, 0 penalties, 1 sack. I mean, you guys are an all-pro for a reason. Very, very good offensive guard. Center David Andrews, I had to go to his 2018 stats as he missed all of last year with blood clots. Announced on draft day that he was medically cleared to return and will be coming back for his starting center spot this year. So in 2018, his Pro Football Focus grade was 72. He had 4 penalties and 2 sacks. Shaq Mason, 73 Pro Football Focus grade, 4 penalties, 2 sacks. And the right tackle, their weaker link, is Marcus Cannon, 68 Pro Football Focus, 3 penalties, 6 sacks. So I think with the Patriots, while I have them ranked number 1 right now, they could potentially take the biggest tumble out of any of these offensive line units. Why can they do that? Because you go from a Hall of Fame quarterback like Tom Brady, who is known for getting the ball out extremely quickly, to pretty much a rookie quarterback, right? A young quarterback, not a lot of NFL exposure, drafted in the mid-rounds, probably going to hold on to the ball a little bit longer than Brady would have, not going to be able to make as great checks at the line as Brady was able to. So the offensive line, while they have some experience together, they got a few veteran guys in there. They should be able to, David Andrews knows what he's doing at center. He should be able to make those line calls. But, just the fact that you go from somebody like Brady to Jarrett Stidham, I mean, it could definitely negatively affect that offensive line. But for now, you have to have them ranked number 1. All the numbers show it. They've had one of the better offensive lines for quite some time. It's what's helped keep Brady so clean for so long. It's helped him to be able to play as many games as he has. He was rarely getting touched back there. So that's why I got it. I got the Pats at number 1. I got the Bills at number 2. I have the Jets at a close 3rd, where I can see the Jets leapfrogging the Bills. But because of the fact that we have no cohesion on our offensive line, put the Bills slightly ahead of us for right now. And the Dolphins at 4th in the division right now when it comes to offensive lines. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Where did I go right? Where did I go wrong? How would you guys rank these offensive lines? And then on Sunday, we'll have the live chat. Please come check it out. We'll kind of talk about it a little more in detail, and then we'll decide which one we're going to go with for next week. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series. Like I said, we're planning on going through it all. It gives us something to do until training camp gets going, until some of these games get started. So, again, let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, Jet up.